Welcome back to the Tradesman channel. Tonight we're going to show you how to take these two beautifully banana-shaped pieces of wood and make them fit on our project. So stay tuned, I'll catch you on the other side of it. So as you can see, we put our boards on there and they are way out of whack. So what we want to do, I got to figure out, now you could do this all with clamps, but I only have 2 clamps long enough at the present time to make this work. So I want to do a glue up on this, but we're going to kind of put this together sort of like a face frame. So we're going to get our pieces that come across, just like that. We're going to get this all put together and then we're going to glue it all on, clamp it down, and see what develops. Okay, so we know that these pieces are not going to sit flat on our router table. And that is a problem, but it is one that we could deal with, especially being on thin boards. Now I could clamp the hell out of this all the way through, but we're not going to do it like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my banana-shaped pieces of wood here, and well, we're touching on the ends, and we have... Let's see what we have. Yeah, we have a good 1/4 of an inch gap in the middle there. So it's not terrible, but it's bad enough. So I'm going to put a couple of stretchers across here, one on each end. And what we need, our table's 32 inches long. And I built these so that we have a little bit of an overhang on the end because I like that look. That's just me. That's not for everybody, obviously, but that is how I like to do it. Now keep in mind, you're going to want to test this out because it may not fit for you the way that you would like it to. So the 32-inch board, where's my pencil? There's my pencil. I should be using my marking knife, but right now it's just a little bit easier to see. So if we have 32 inches, we're going to take 1 inch off at each end. We're not going to take 1 inch off. We're going to step our bits in. Our bits. Cannot talk once again. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Again, I want to make sure that the bow on this is facing out. And it is. So I'm going to come in 1 inch on each end of this one. We can make it even easier and use our handy dandy . So what's going to happen here when we get these set up, we have our stretcher pieces. We're going to put them to our line. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. We will clamp across here and clamp the other side, get them all cragged together. Obviously we need to get crag holes in each end of these things. So that's the first process of the night. Somebody smartened up a little bit and left the drill bits set up. I like when I do something smart. It doesn't always happen, but boy, we try an awful lot, don't we? So what side do I want? Even these pieces are fairly banana shaped. Now I milled this cherry myself, and the problem with this cherry, it was a curved log. When you're milling curved logs, if you're trying to use them for boards sooner or later, the stresses in those boards, no matter what you do, it's going to want to go back to its natural shape. And I will explain that in greater detail here in just a moment of why that happens. Now, if this was a beautifully straight tree, we would not have this problem. And to be quite honest with you, for something like what I'm building right here, it's not that much of a problem for me. Because like anything else, if you have some thoughts on how to correct it, it makes it all a little bit easier. Now, I'm hoping you guys could see a difference in actual film quality tonight, because we are shooting on a different camera. And the microphone has not arrived yet, but the microphone is on its way. So we're going with the inboard mic on the camera. Obviously, folks, if this was much thicker pieces of wood than what this is, this would not be very easy to do like what we are doing. It would really be a pain, and if it wasn't only 1.5 inch wide strips, I probably wouldn't even be doing this with them. But it's nice looking lumber, it's got nice grain to it, and I can't see just throwing it out because of a little bit of imperfection. Like anything else, carpentry, woodworking, and all that, it's all about sometimes it's all about polishing a turd. Let's see what we get here. Not sure how this looks going to go for me having the overhang. I don't think I would want it in the house. I really don't mind having it out here. I say that a lot, but it's kind of true. And I realize I didn't glue these pieces, but they're going to be glued onto the actual router bench anyway. If I can make my fingers and everything work. Oh, how'd that get square? Really no big secret here. You're just cheating with clamps and screws to get an end result. You guys know what I say about spackling paint. It makes a carpenter what he ain't. Now we're going to put this crooked pile on this guy. Let's see what happens. See what happens. Make sure it fits. Well, not too bad. We can live with that. Obviously, there's going to be some sanding with everything being as bowed as it is, especially on this back side. We'll probably have to run the hand plane across it and get it nice. But as you can see, we are bowed there pretty darn well. So the reason I put these bows to the outside, I already have pressure on both of these ends here. When I go to glue and clamp this, as long as I get this middle portion, say a couple clamps, say one here, as long as I get those clamped well, I could suck both sides right in and it'll end up tight all the way down. And the wood glue is so strong, I'm not worried about it coming off on us. Big thing's going to be not scrubbing all the wood glue off as we go. I'm being pretty generous with the wood glue and I'm going to have quite a bit to clean off of here. But I'm also planning that the edge of the board comes down. It's going to scrape quite a bit of that off. Look at that. We have a scrap of wood to wipe our hands on. Okay, do you guys remember how this was supposed to go? Just like that. far. We're gonna have a perfectly good mount right here. Oh, let's get a couple clamps on this. Hopefully by tomorrow when we take our clamps off, so this glue you're supposed to let it set 24 hours. You should really be diligent with that. So we're just going to go any way we can to tighten this guy up here. That right there, we got most of it, but we still need a little more over here. You see a lot of woodworking projects on YouTube, and I said a few videos ago, you never really see, you see my channel has a lot of multiple parts videos, and you never really get to see how long the actual process takes. Glue up, you want to leave it, you want to try to get 24 hours. That's what Titebond specifies for their glue up time is 24 hours before you put any stress on it. So if I let that set an hour and I take those clamps off, that glue bond is going to be getting weak immediately just from the weight of this wood, the bow trying to push itself back out. So anyway, I guess tomorrow night we find out. Oh, there we have it. So we're glued up. That's how you take the banana out of a board. It's nothing real scientific, folks, but I tell you what, a lot of people would throw pieces like that out. And if you're just building a shop project, why would you? You could still make it look good. You just need to do a little clamping, a little bit of gluing, and it'll work for you. I tell you, a lot of lumber gets wasted. A lot of lumber gets wasted because of little imperfections like that. I have a whole pile of lumber like that, but we're going to be using it for a lot of stuff because it's what I have. That's stuff I milled myself. I'm not going to waste it. That's a lot of effort and a lot of time to do that. Now what happens when you have and a good example is if you're cutting with your table saw and you want to learn about the internal stresses of wood, that's kind of an important thing when you're woodworking. A lot of that starts on the sawmill. A lot of that starts with how you make those first initial cuts around the log. A lot of it starts with just how you take care of the you know, you raise the toe, you take the taper out of the logs. You're trying to get the straightest grain you can when you're milling your lumber. You're doing the same thing as you would be timber framing. Now, a lot of stuff I do when it comes to the woodworking, I may just slab the stuff off. That's what I did with this cherry. I just slabbed it up because it was curved. But I was thinking more in terms of, I cut a lot of 2-inch thick pieces for tabletops, things like that. So I plan on leaving that curve in for nice live edge stuff or making a river table or something like that. All the 1-inch boards I took out of it for cabinet type work, those are just bonus boards. Those weren't boards that I was really going after, but they make nice live edge shelves, things like that. And so I saved it. But as you're cutting, you're going to notice in it, even if you stick or stack that thing, it's perfectly dry, you're at the right moisture content, you're below your 12%, well below your 12%, and you go to cut it, you're going to see sometimes where as you relieve the stress on that grains as you're cutting it, you're going to see stuff on your table saw kind of go one way or the other. And sometimes if you're not careful, where that saw kerf is, it'll actually start pushing together and bind your table saw up, which could be a dangerous situation. That's where a riving knife is handy. I know I don't have one on there, but it is something that I'm always watching for when I'm working with lumber I've milled myself or any lumber. I'm looking for those stresses. Sometimes in a project you can take those stresses and you can use them to your advantage. You can make something look really cool that way. Other times you have to learn how to take the stresses out of that. What can you do to make that, to negate that? The only way with this for me is to glue and clamp that down. But there's a lot of different ways. Everybody has their own methods. You know, it's kind of like when you get a door you installed in your house and it's cupped. That's because it dried unevenly. And you'll see a lot of the old timers, they'll set a bucket of water on one side of the door, and in a few days, believe it or not, the door will absorb that moisture enough to where it'll start to straighten out, and then you put a finish on it to seal it up to hold that in there. There's just all kinds of little tricks and ways of taking care of that stuff, and I'm always learning new as I go. I'm always learning new stuff, and as I learn, I like to share it. So that's what we do. But anyway, I hope you guys found this useful. I hope it was informative. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're going to try to refine these videos a little bit more. Maybe not quite so much all the yakking, but we're going to try to keep a good mix. So anyway, I will see you guys on the next one.